Hello, children. So, today our topic is major psychological disorders. So, to begin with, you can very clearly see it on the very first slide that how can we actually differentiate between just feeling anxious and how this anxiety can later turn into an anxiety disorder. So, children, anxiety, we feel probably there are certain symptoms that we undergo, right? So, the anxiety can usually be called as something which is very vague, very unpleasant, you know, a diffuse feeling, a feeling of fear and apprehension. And it can have certain symptoms like rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, diarrhea, loss of appetite, fainting, dizziness, sweating, sleeplessness, frequent urination, and even tremors. But what matters is when there are high levels of anxiety that can be extremely distressing, and when they start interfering with the effective functioning, you know, then it can be probably a disorder. So, when these symptoms are prolonged, when these symptoms become extremely distressing, when they begin to interfere with the normal functioning or with the daily functioning of our lives, then a disorder has already started to creep in, you know. So, now we'll go on to the various types of anxiety disorders. Moving on to the very first one, we have the generalized anxiety disorder. So you can see here, children, the keywords prolonged, vague, unexplained, intense, you know, and at times it doesn't really have a reason attached, you know. Hypervigilance is there, motor tension is there. So in generalized anxiety disorder, children, it's not necessary that there'll be a reason attached or there'll be a particular reason behind for you to constantly feel anxious. The symptoms can be excessive worry, apprehensive feelings about the future. You are uh, extremely vigilant about certain things, and you're even extremely vigilant, hyper vigilant about constantly scanning the environment if at all there are any dangers for you. There are motor tensions, you can see or you can feel some kind of bodily tensions, and a person, even if he or she tries to relax, is not able to. There's too much of restlessness, there's too much of tension that a person is going through. Then we have the second type, which is the panic disorder, children. Now, this is something which will have recurrent anxiety attacks. So, the anxiety attacks will be quite frequent here, and a lot of terror, intense terror. The person will be constantly terrified, and also there'll be an upsurge of intense anxiety, and it'll reach to a peak, where your thoughts of a particular stimuli will continue to trouble you. And these thoughts, children, they can occur in a very unpredictable manner. Again, the symptoms can be shortness of breath, dizziness, there can be a lot of trembling, palpitations, at times choking, nausea, there can be chest pain or some kind of a discomfort. Also, at times, you can feel this fear of going absolutely crazy, losing control, or even dying because of a panic attack. You can have such fears. Then, moving on to the next one, we have the specific phobia, right? And yeah, specific phobia is one of the probably you can say a type of a phobia, right? So we have phobias, essentially, which is a broader term. And under that, we have various kinds of phobias, like we have specific, we have social, we have agoraphobia. So you can see it on the picture there very clearly. They've explained that how people can tend to have these phobias, which could be, different kinds. But here it's clearly depicted, which is the specific phobia. Now, what are phobias, children, if you come to see? So, phobias, they are basically, you can say, it actually develops gradually, you know, and they are basically irrational fears, you can say. And you must have really come across people or even heard of people who are afraid to travel in a lift, or they are afraid of climbing high buildings, or they get terrified when they see a particular animal. So they have these fears which are related to something specific always, and yeah, so also sometimes it could be related to certain people or situations, or specific objects. So they are developing gradually, you know, and they are with a generalized, mostly disorder. And you have the specific, you have the social, and you have the agoraphobia, right? So if you come to see, children, when we talk about the specific phobia, they are mostly the common ones, you know, and you have this intense fear of a certain type of animal, or you can also have it when you are, in an enclosed space. And this intense fear and a lot of embarrassment sometimes, that you can feel, because you are actually feeling extremely fearful of certain particular these animals, like you can see here they've been depicted. But when we talk about the the social phobia, you can say, it is when you have to deal with other people. That is the social anxiety disorder or the social phobia, when you have to come across different kind of people, meet them or greet them. At times you feel this kind of phobia also. And then you have another phobia, which is the agoraphobia, when you have this fear of entering into situations which are not familiar with, you're not familiar with those situations. Like suppose you have to shift to a new place, or you have to leave your own house, right? So here you have this phobia, which is actually called the um, agoraphobia. And then you have the very interesting, which is the separation anxiety disorder, and it's also called the SAD, right? And I think the short form of this particular disorder makes it even more self-explanatory, sad. So it's characterized by extreme distress. There are triggers, right, when you're expected, or probably you have to undergo this separation from your home, or probably the people that you're very attached to. So individuals who are undergoing this kind of a disorder, they are very fearful people, very, very anxious, because they have this fear of parting ways from their near and dear ones. And children who are facing this situation of separation anxiety disorder, or so to say, the SAD, they may have difficulty to even be in a room all by themselves, or to go to the school alone, right? Or probably to enter new situations in life. So they always want to cling on to their parents wherever they go, and they are very fussy at times. They scream also when they do have tantrums, and they also try and make some kind of suicidal gestures, because They are afraid to part ways. So, very quickly, children, we have under the anxiety disorders, we have the panic disorder, we have the generalized anxiety disorder. Under phobias, we have specific phobia, the social phobia, we have the agoraphobia. We also have the separation anxiety disorder. So, this was all about the major anxiety disorders and some of its symptoms. So, yeah, we'll begin with the next topic very soon. Thank you so much, children.